because it's a cutout design, you kind of want it to fit in the right places but be comfortable enough so you're able to sit and hug and just function as a normal human being. What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This week this is going to be a tutorial for this gorgeous dress I have on here. This dress took a while to create because of how technical the design is, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the sewing patterns. And I've divided this project into two videos because I just want it to be at a pace that is easy to consume and I'm able to explain everything in detail. So if you wanted to recreate this for yourself, you have all the information at your fingertips to do so for yourself. So I show you how to make the patterns for this gorgeous piece I have on here in this video, and in the following one I'm going to be showing you how to cut and stitch and add dots so it fits really nicely on the body. Because it's a cutout design, you kind of want it to fit in the right places but be comfortable enough so you're able to sit and hug and just function as a normal human being. Now if you'd like to see how I made this dress, make sure to keep on watching. If you haven't entered the K-Diva of the month already, what are you waiting for? This month's prize is going to be a free entry to my upcoming workshop where we're going to be making these beautiful midi skirts. So you will get yourself a free ticket if you're the K-Diva for the month of June. All you need to do to enter is to leave a comment down below and give this video a thumbs up, and you are entered into the competition. Good luck to all of you guys. The winner will be announced on the last Thursday of the month of June, so fingers crossed that you are the one that wins the competition. The workshop is going to be on the 15th. Is it 15th? No, 16th of July. It's a Sunday. It's going to be a 4-hour virtual workshop where I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make this really cool circle skirt that sits high on the waist and has a curved waistband. It actually is a very cool design. I remember when I posted the skirt on my community page, a lot of you guys really loved it. So good luck to you entering the competition. I hope you win yourself a ticket. If you would like to buy yourself a ticket, I'm going to leave a link down below because there are only going to be 10 spots for attendees that could possibly participate in the virtual workshop. Okay, now that I've rambled on for hours, let's actually get into this video. If you do enjoy it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's do this. I have divided this video into chapters so it's easy for you to navigate around and get to certain portions that you are interested in. So check the video description down below for that. I'm going to be starting off with the measurements that I worked with. I measured across my shoulder like so, and once I was done getting that measurement, the next one that I needed was around my bust. Since this is a dress that has a bodice, I'm also going to measure around my waist. I like to take down these measurements and double check it across my bodice before doing anything, and then the desired top length on the front and the back, because the back is slightly shorter than the front because of the cutout on the back of the dress. I also went in to measure around my lower waist because the skirt kind of sits low on the waist compared to where the waistline of the top is. I also measured the skirt length. This is kind of midi or slight mini for me because it just sits on my knee. And as well as deciding on how wide I want the skirt to be, it's on the A-line side, which means that it flares out from my waist towards the hemline. It's also important to know the kind of fabric you're working with before you make your patterns. And my fabric of choice is this cotton Ankara fabric. I actually got as a gift from Choma last year or the year before, and that I've paired with a plain navy blue cotton lining, zips, as well as a wooden ring that makes the detail on the front. I'm going to leave links in the video description for where you can get that. I also have a button that's going to go on the top neckline of my dress to finish everything up. Now the sewing patterns I'm going to be working with are as follows. I have my bodice front and back. This I always like to work from because it saves me so much time once you have this as a template that you can go ahead and adapt for future designs, as well as a sleeve pattern that I adapted into the puff sleeve that this dress has. I'm going to link the basic PDF printable digital pattern for you guys down below, and I'm also going to link the bodice tutorial and the sleeve tutorial that I used to create my templates I'm going to be working with in this video. Now the dress design itself is fitted around the bodice. It has that ring detail on one side that connects the top to the skirt. It is open sort of around the midriff on the back. It has a puff sleeve and the hemline of the skirt is asymmetric. Now I'm going to start from the front top pattern and then work my way to the back and the skirt. And I've gotten myself a piece of pattern paper that I folded in half because I want to trace out my front top bodice. So I've traced off the shoulder, the arm curve, the side seam, and marked the desired front top length. Mine is 14.5 inches, and I'm just dropping the neckline by an inch and connecting that back to the shoulder point like so. For the facing, it is 2 inches wide, and this I'm going to mark downwards from the neckline and connect together to draw a facing that would help you finish the neckline of your dress. I'm just doing this so you have an idea of how a facing is done and what it should look like, but I ended up just using the same bodice pattern for my main top and my lining. Now I'm marking away my waist dart from the side seam because I don't want to have a dart on the front of the top. So that I've marked away through the side seam like so and connected it back to the bust area along this side point. And once I had done this on the one side, I'm going to transfer it to the other side with the pattern paper. So this is a folded piece of paper that I've traced on one side, and I'm just going to go ahead and mirror it on the other side so I have a full front. When you're doing asymmetric designs, it's important that you have the full front or the full back, and then you go in and make your changes. Now 3 inches away from the center front edge, I'm marking like so, and I'm using this bangle as my guide to draw in how low I want to drop this edge. So I've marked the middle point of this. It was roughly 1.5 inches below the waistline. And once I have that marked on the middle and on the sides and on the bottom, I'm going to be extending the waistline downwards in this direction. The aim here is to extend it in such a way that you have enough measurements to wrap around your ring, bangle, whatever you want to use to do that detail on the front. And once I have this extension added, I'm going to slash and spread my front into 3 panels. The aim of slashing and spreading is to add enough volume so when you've looped that part of your front around the wooden ring, it still sits comfortably on your body and is not tight in a weird way. So this I'm going to be slashing from the bottom all the way to the top of this front pattern. I'm going to slash along those lines like so. And I say slash beyond the edge of the pattern because the moment you start to spread it, you find that because of how the shape of those lines are, your pattern might warp in a very weird way. So this I'm just taping down on one edge like so, and I'm going to be spreading my panels by 1 inch along this bottom edge, add some tape, and basically just repeat the same thing for all the single panels. It's okay if you slash the panels separately. You want to spread it along that bottom edge, but you see that top edge where your neckline is, try and make everything come back together again. Now once I had that done, I'm going to this bottom edge and I'm going to be using that bangle as my guide yet again because I want to draw a concave shape that goes like this because I'm trying to mimic the way this thing is going to fold back against itself once it's being wrapped around the wooden ring. Once I have that curved edge drawn in place, I'm going ahead to add a 1 cm seam allowance. This is going to give me enough measurement to do my looping and my stitching along that point of my front top. I'm also adding a 1 cm seam allowance around the rest of the pattern before cutting it out. I think the cool thing with designs like this is you have the freedom to be experimental with how low and how wide you want particular details to be. I also went off to trace off the front facing, so this is what the front neckline facing would look like if you don't want to add lining to your dress. I thought just to add that for anyone who didn't want to line their dress or who was working with a fabric that did not require lining. Once these patterns are out of the way, I'm going to move on to the front skirt pattern. This I'm going to be tracing off the bottom half of my bodice, so I'm going to get a huge piece of pattern paper, fold it in half like I did for the top, and then match center front to center front. And what I'm doing here is I'm tracing off the waistline like so, and I'm going to mark away the dart on the side seam because I don't want a dart on my front skirt. And then I'm going in here to mark my skirt length, which is 19 inches, and I'm going to square that across so I have the front skirt hemline, which is relatively straight. Now the width at this point is 11 inches because I want it to be A-line, so it's kind of like flares out from the waist out towards the hem. If you have more fabric, this style looks absolutely gorgeous as a maxi dress as well. I didn't just have enough material else. Honestly, I wanted this dress to be maxi because I think it would just look even more elegant, even more chic. After mirroring the skirt on the other side and we have a full front skirt, I'm marking halfway through on the right side. You want to ensure that it's on the same side where you dropped the waistline for your top. That I'm going to be raising on the skirt, and I've raised it by 1.5 inches, which was how much we dropped the top on that side as well. And this I'm lifting up in this direction like so, and I'm going to be dividing my front skirt into 3 panels because yes, we are going to be slashing and spreading the skirt as well. If you don't slash and spread your pattern, by the time you loop it around the ring, it's going to bunch up in a way that doesn't look flat and it will just look a bit rough. So this I am slashing from the waistline down to the hemline, slashing beyond the hemline as well, because by the time you start to spread this pattern, you'll find that your paper would actually not cooperate with you if you don't slash it enough. Now I've placed some paper underneath to allow me to add the measurements that I want to. For the skirt, I'm going to be spreading it by 1.5 inches, just a little bit more, so there's more volume on my skirt. So this I will spread, add paper to keep everything in place, and use sellotape to tape the slashed pattern onto the pattern underneath, and repeat the same thing for all of the panels for the front of my skirt. Once I have all of the panels slashed and spread, I need to connect them all together at the top. And for this skirt, I decided to make the edge more rounded. At this point, I wanted to see which way it would sit a lot easier around the wooden ring. And the rounded edge, it worked, but by the time you fold it against itself, you kind of have a little bit around the edges where there is measurement lacking. So if you can, try and do the top and the bottom the same way. So the way I did the top edge, that it was like an inverted circle, do the bottom the same way, because by the time I cut out my skirt and I stitched it, I found that this rounded up way was a bit trickier to like loop around the wooden ring. Here I'm just going ahead to smoothing the hemline of the skirt, adding my 1 centimeter seam allowance around the hem, the side, around the top edge as well, added my annotations and cut out my front skirt pattern, and this is what it looks like. This I just need to cut 1 piece for the outer fabric and 1 piece for the lining, and I just use the same pattern to cut both pieces for my dress. Moving on to the top back pattern, I have my back bodice, and this I am going to be layering paper on top and tracing off my back bodice pattern. So the shoulder is the same, the neckline is the same, the arm curve and the side seam are the same. However, I want the back to be a little bit shorter compared to the front, so I'm marking 13 inches as my desired back top length. And this I'm going to ensure that the front and the back actually match along the side seam. So this I'm just going to grab my front pattern and transfer the very edge of the side seam so the front and the back connect at that point, and I'm going to draw that back up to reach the length of where I want my back top to be. I'm also transferring the back darts because I want the back of the top to have that, so it's shaped in nicely and it looks really clean. I also want a keyhole detail. This is optional if you don't want it, but for this I marked 1/2 inch below my neckline, and then the detail itself is 5 inches wide from that 1/2 inch drop. This I'm just drawing in as a circular shape with the help of my pattern master, and once I have that marked, I'm going to go ahead to transfer the width of the facing from the front. Like I said, if you want to have a facing pattern, this is how it's done. You have to ensure that the facings match along the shoulder, and then I just maintain the same width of the front facing on the back as well. This I've drawn in a shape that looks like this, so you can use the same facing to finish the neckline and the keyhole detail on the back of the top. Once that was all done, I'm going in here to add a 1 centimeter seam allowance around my back top pattern before I cut this out. I also traced off the facing off screen to ensure that I have that pattern if I want to work with it. For the darts, just ensure that both legs of your dart are the same length, and you might need to extend the one on the left side to match the one on the right side. Once I had added all of my grain lines, annotations, and any other notches that I needed for my back pattern, I'm going to go ahead and cut out all the portions I don't need, like this keyhole point here. And this is what the back neckline and keyhole facing looks like if you want to just use a facing to finish up the neckline and the keyhole opening on the back of this top. With that out of the way, I'm going ahead to cut out the back top pattern. Once I have this cut out, I know I can now focus on creating the back skirt pattern for this dress design. The last piece of pattern I'm going to be showing in this tutorial is for the back skirt, and this I'm going to be tracing off from the back bodice. I want the waistline of the skirt to be transferred from the waistline of the bodice. You know, the top, we kind of like raise it a little bit, so the waistline of the skirt is going to sit 1 inch below the waistline of the bodice, so there is an actual like visible opening on the back of the dress. And then I'm going to go ahead to transfer the waist dart onto the skirt as well. This is going to help me shaping the waistline of the skirt around the back. And then for the side seam, I'm going to grab my front skirt and ensure that I have the same side seam in terms of like how it would like spread out from the waistline to the hemline that I've just transferred with dashed lines. And then I'm drawing in my center back edge for my back skirts. There's not going to be a seam on the center back, it's going to be cut on a fold. And I'm going ahead to draw the side seam. Now I want the center back area of my skirts to be slightly longer than the side seam, so it's kind of like a high-low asymmetric situation. So this I made slightly longer by, I'll say 2 to 3 inches. You can make yours even more exaggerated, so it's really long on the back and a bit shorter on the front. I'm just going ahead to connect that back to the side edge or the side seam of my back skirt pattern. I'm going to go ahead to add a 1 centimeter seam allowance around my pattern, so around the waistline, around the side seam, around the hemline as well, extending my darts upwards so it goes all the way to the edge of my pattern. This skirt pattern on the back is going to be cut on a fold, so I don't need to add seam on that center back edge. That just stays the way it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut out my back skirt pattern to finish it up. Once this pattern is cut and set aside, I know I have the major patterns for this dress created and out of the way. This is what the skirt pattern looks like. As I said, you can see that the hemline kind of like dips a little bit lower on the middle edge and then lifts up to the side, so it connects to the front. For the sleeve, I have done a separate tutorial on how to make this sleeve because we ended up creating a puff sleeve out of a regular short sleeve, and I'm going to link this on the screen and down below. So if you don't have a puff sleeve pattern, you can go ahead to create yours if you wanted. But these are all of the patterns I ended up with. As I mentioned earlier on, this dress is not hard, it's just a little bit technical, and there are a few pieces to make in terms of pattern and a few pieces to stitch in terms of the dress construction. But if you guys enjoyed watching this video, do give it a thumbs up. I am going to go ahead to work on the sewing tutorial, and that would be the next video coming up. So I'm going to cut these patterns onto fabric, stitch everything together, share any errors I made, and then show you the final result at the end. If you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Leave your thoughts, suggestions, and ideas down below. Don't forget to enter the K-Diva of the Month competition, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.